everybody. Welcome to another edition of Super Soldier Talk. I'm James Rink. It is November 3rd, 2016, and today I have Etienne with me, and I'm fairly confident I said that right.
Etienne. Yeah.
Okay. Etienne is a French-Canadian, so but he's currently residing in Thailand, and he has a lot of gifts that he would like to share with the audience members. As well as a gift of vision and sight, and maybe it appears you also do some healing sessions on people, although we can't use the word healing. Whatever word you want to use, you could throw in there. But let me read your bio. Okay, Etienne is a self-devoted practitioner of truth. After being dormant for many lifetimes and for many years of this life, his soul is reawakening as one of the 8 ancient Chinese immortals. And I know you've actually claimed to be the Monkey King, so I'd like you to talk about that, but let me continue on here. So no matter what we're thinking, immortals aren't going anywhere over time. They may go into hibernation for some time, and they may always come back when the time is right. And perhaps you're one of them. Etienne Charland's mission is to reawaken people's soul and recover their former power and wisdom. A new world is emerging, and it takes leaders and spiritual leaders to lead the people into a cohesive direction. Etienne Charland's job is to train these leaders into reaching their highest potential in all aspects of their lives, to be an incarnation of heaven on earth. His book, The History of the Universe, can be found on Amazon.com, and I'll be sure to put a link in the video description for all the audience members to go out there and purchase that. Which is it already in print now, or is it about to be in print?
It will be in print at the time the interview is released.
Yeah, okay. So, okay. So let's begin with, could you describe what some of your abilities are?
Have very strong psychic abilities, so I'm able to astral travel anywhere in the universe or read anyone's energy at any point in time. See exactly their feelings. And when I'm working with clients, I'll do what is called an energy tune-up. I read their energy field chakra by chakra to see where are their strengths, where are their weaknesses, where they're in alignment, where they're out of alignment. Doing distance healing, have very powerful skills of distance healing, shaping reality, and could go on and on. But I have to say that with the psychic war, like distance healing, it's as much about blowing things up than about actually healing. But it's part of the process.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So, do you have telekinetic abilities?
I'm pretty sure I used to, but not currently. I'm still in the process of recovering my powers. And there was one thing that, like Corey Goad mentioned one time, is that people are either telepathic or telekinetic. And when he said that actually made explained a lot of things. Currently I don't have any telekinetic abilities whatsoever. I have one of my clients is more telekinetic than telepathic. Do you know why people have either one or the other?
Maybe depending on what ET star group they're related to.
No.
All right. Well, please.
Because our brain has a certain spectrum of vibrations that, and scientists understand most of the standard range. Telepathic abilities are it's like they use the higher the higher vibration range. It's like the theta brainwaves, and telekinetic abilities use the lower brainwaves. So, how's it called? Is it the beta alpha brain? I'm not sure about the exact terms, but telepathic abilities use the higher range. Telekinetic abilities use the lower range. So it's like completely the opposite end of the spectrum. And the reason almost nobody is able to use both is because of the veil that is separating heaven and earth. So either you're on one side or the other.
Yeah, makes sense. Hmm? Okay, so considering that you have these gifts and abilities, and considering that the NSA or the Cabal or Secret Shadow Government, they have these satellite technologies that can scan people, and they already know who's who and who has the gifts and abilities. Do you think that this group, the Germans or whoever we want to call them, has targeted you to be a super soldier? Have they augmented you?
No, no, they haven't been in any like any physical contact with me. However, I have been have had plenty of psychic confrontations with the Dracos, which is we'll talk more about.
Sure. Well, can you explain? Because you believe that you might have been the Monkey King, is that correct? In a past
Mhm.
life? Okay. Can you explain who the Monkey King is for those people out there who don't know? Just briefly,
Well,
without spending hours and hours explaining to all your stories.
well, the monkey king. I mean, in Chinese methodology, there's a lot of like a lot of ancient gods that like have a lot of stories about ancient beings and ancient gods. But the truth is, most of these beings, all of the Hindu gods and about 40% of the Chinese gods were people who came from Orion, who had much more advanced psychic and technological abilities than the local population, and that's other things to talk about that we'll talk about later. Uh, the Monkey King is there's a lot of things to talk about, so we have to understand a bit the history to understand that. But basically, 6,000 years ago, the memories of the Orion people got sealed for their protection, and the Monkey King was my first incarnation after my memories were blocked. So I had no awareness of my past. I kind of went a little bit crazy, but still had access to 80% of my power. So the Monkey King, like, can get the. I mean, there's a lot of stories written about it. There's movies that have been done about that. The Monkey King, 2014. There's a Monkey King movie that came out, and in terms of the way that the psychic realms work is about 92% accurate in that video, and just watching that brought back a lot of memories for me. The representation of the physical reality is not so accurate, but the psychic reality is very, very accurate. So these are things I can recommend watching. There's a 2014 movie, The Monkey King. Second movie is not as accurate. There's more distortion, but for more of the story, there's in 1984, there was a TV series called Journey to the West, how the Monkey King accompanied a monk to fetch some scriptures in the West. And I mean, there are different versions of it, but the 1984 version is pretty accurate according to the original story written in books. And then
Okay.
something else.
Yeah.
Another thing that is good to watch. There's also a TV series about the Legend of the Seven Immortals. It's not in English. It's a Chinese series. It is available in Chinese on a Singapore website called Toggle. That's only available from Singapore. So the only way to watch it, and then you can put English subtitle, is to go on Toggle, Legend of the Seven Immortals, and need to use a proxy so that you appear to be coming from Singapore, and not all proxy work. But
Okay.
that also has a very accurate representation of the way the energetic dynamics work and the kind of powers that these immortals had.
Thanks for sharing that. So we'll be sure to watch those videos and movies. Now you've also claimed to be the. Now you've mentioned Orion. You said that you were the first commander of Orion. Um, What does that mean?
Okay, so I'll before getting to that, I'll explain a bit more of the background of like what's going on in the cosmos. And also, first thing I want to mention is why I want to do this interview with you. There are three main reasons. First is because of the book, The History of the Universe and the Psychic War of End Times that's coming out. Second is a lot of your viewers have been in secret space programs, have chips installed in their heads, and there are many people actively engaged in these groups that are following your show for sure. And these programs are so compartmentalized that they have no clue what's going on elsewhere in the universe with the other species and all that. It's extremely compartmentalized, and they don't understand the reality of the current situation. And I would not want them to fight until extinction like the Dracos chose to. And you ask me how I know that the Dracos have gone extinct? Because I killed them. Well, that there are certain concepts that the way I talk about things is a little bit different than what others are talking about. So the Dracos, what I call Dracos, are metaphysical parasites. What I believe Obama once mentioned the Draco overlords, metaphysical beings of extreme power. That's where the Cabal draws their power. And then there's also the reptilian race that's like the Dracos, the metaphysical parasite that needs to feed from fear to survive. They do not have the ability to incarnate into a physical body. Instead, they have very powerful mind control abilities, and they will control hosts, give them power in exchange for their soul. That's the way, and that's what all the satanic rituals are for. They are to call in the Dracos and to exchange their soul for power with the Dracos. Then the reptilian race is it's like it's probably the ideal host for these parasites, so they work in a symbiosis relationship. So the ones that are extant from the universe are the Draco metaphysical beings during a psychic war. And because they are the source of 95% of the reptilians' powers, after that, I heard they've been beaten up pretty badly.
You said there were three Federation empires that used to exist: the Galactic Federation, the Orion Federation, and the Draco. So yes. I guess, does that mean the Draco no longer exist? The Draco Empire?
Yeah. Oh, and just the other question before, the third reason why I want to do this interview is because right now the Cabal is no longer the main issue for Ascension. The main issue is that the heaven energies are colliding with the current spiritual leadership, and the people are not aware of what they're creating.
So we have more manifestation abilities.
People don't understand their importance in this phase of evolution, and that's. But we'll talk about more of that a bit later. So, yeah. So up until let's say 20,000 years ago, the universe was divided in three main federations: the Orion Federation, that are it's the oldest. Well, let's say the Orion Federation, they're servants of God. They're fully in alignment with the masculine and with the feminine, and also extremely advanced spiritually and technologically. However, because the empire is very large, there's also certain groups that certain groups are in different levels of their evolution within the Orion Federation. Then there's the Draco Empire, which is these metaphysical overlords. They control about a third of the universe. And then there's the Galactic Federation that have been set in place after the Second Great Antique War to make sure that, well, basically to make sure that there's no civilization going rogue and causing a great war like we just came out of at that time that was extremely destructive. So the Galactic Federation is a bit more similar to what we have here on Earth, but with other groups, where, I mean, there are positive groups, negative groups, and like the very wide range of civilizations that they just agree to a set of rules to work with each other. So the universe was in a balance, about split in three between these three groups. 12,000, yes? So 12,300 years ago, the seat, the main planet, the administrative seat of the Orion Federation, the planet got destroyed by the Dracos. And we had there was 65 billion souls living on that planet. And out of that, about 100,000 evacuated here as refugees.
Wow. So what happened to the rest of the people?
I mean, souls cannot be destroyed, but their soul can be blown up and fragmented to a point where it's like basically just like floating debris in space ever since.
I would like Etienne to talk a little bit more about these survivors. So I'm assuming these 100,000 souls came to planet Earth. Is that correct? These Orion souls?
Yes. Mostly the upper class. About 40% were military and security personnel. Yeah.
All right. And then there was 7,000 Lemurian souls and 7,000 Andromedan souls. How does that figure into it?
The Lemurians and Andromedian souls are also here. I'm not clear about how they got here or their history. Probably that will get clear later, but I'm not familiar with their exact circumstances.
Yeah, that's fine. That was 12,000 years ago. It's not so important.
No, right. But I'm talking about right now. They are 7,000 Lemurians and 7,000 Lemurians, 7,000 Andromedians, and 100,000 Orion souls. And out of that, about half are incarnate into the physical plane, to physical body. Half are immortal souls in the energetic form.
Yeah, okay. Can you please explain what the Great Antique War is? You mentioned that. So was that the fall of Atlantis?
That's much older war that happened in the universe like many millions of years ago. But that's a whole other topic that I'm still gradually recovering the information myself. But what I've recovered so far in relation to that is one of the extra stories that I added at the end of my book. But better leave that out for now.
So that's a long time ago in a galaxy far away? Wasn't there a movie made about that?
No.
No? The Star Wars movies? That's probably not based on that?
No.
Okay. Alright, well, we will sure to bring you back on to go a lot deeper into that. And if any of the audience members have any questions about that, feel free to ask, although you probably don't have much background, so most people are probably not going to know what to ask about it, but just in case you do. Okay, so what is the difference of true power of manifesting and how the energetic planes work? I don't really quite understand that question, but feel free to enlighten us.
Okay, so the universe is like a hologram. So we live in a holographic universe. So what happens in our physical reality is a reflection of what happens in the energetic planes. Sometimes there's a delay in between, but the energetic reality is the real reality, and the physical plane is like the reflection of reality into physical form, if that makes sense. And like in more practical terms, here's what that means. I mean, there's a big war that's been going on, mostly a stealth war that very few are aware of. A lot of actions are being taken physically, and there's been a psychic war that's been going on in the energetic planes. No matter what happens physically, the energetic reality determines the outcome of the physical actions, meaning that now the astral war is over and the dark forces have been defeated. So that means that the corrupt forces that are still in power but that have no one backing them up, whatever actions they take will have a positive outcome no matter what, because that's the underlying energy behind their actions.
Right. Is that the same thing as what the Bible talks about Armageddon? Is the astral war?
Armageddon, no. Armageddon. Well, the word apocalypse means revelation. Apocalypse is simply when a new truth is revealed, and it marks a transition. And a transition as the basically lies collapse. So
yeah,
apocalypse.
That's what we're definitely going to be seeing coming up in the next few years.
And these are times that have been talked about in the Bible a lot. But coming back to the power of creation through our mind, that is why the Cabal has so much focus on controlling the beliefs and the minds of the population through the media, through fear, through mind control technologies, through everything, because we are the ones who create reality. They cannot create something for us that we do not create ourselves. So they understand that if they want to impose something on us, they must use social engineering to get us to energetically create what they want us to create.
That's why the Anunnakis created so many religions.
That's a whole other story. I mean, going into the origin of religions, that will be a whole other.
Yeah. Okay. We'll save that for another time. Sorry to throw a curveball at you.
Yeah, David Wilcock and Corey Good, they've been doing a tremendous job at exposing the truth, and it's like they're just doing a terrific job at that. And I mean, the first thing to understand about all of that is that the government has massive propaganda programs to flood the internet with disinformation. So half of the stuff online is disinformation. The other half is partial misinformation because people have partial truths. So first, you cannot listen to everything you read online because it's just a sea of disinformation and misinformation. Pretty much the only ones I listen to are David Wilcock and Corey Good, because first, they're very David Wilcock is very systematic in the way he validates his information to present something that's true and to wipe out all the misinformation. And Corey Good has a lot of first-hand experience. So overall, it's like I can look at something and just tell you what level of accuracy it is. I can tell you that the Cosmic Disclosure Show is, for the most part, 90 to 92% accurate. One area where there's a lot of confusion, however, is is between extraterrestrials and metaphysical beings, which are two completely different things, and David is mixing them together. So I want to make that distinction clear. So extraterrestrial beings are they're people who live in other worlds. Many of these worlds are, worlds just like our planet. They're just located somewhere else, so that makes them an extraterrestrial. Like someone is in Asia while you're in America, that makes them an Asian, you're an American. It's just made somewhere from somewhere else, period.
You're still a people or a person. You're just maybe might look a little funny to another, but you would have a physical vessel.
Yeah, and some of these is just like on Earth. Certain people are good, certain people are bad, some people are more evolved, some people are less evolved. It's just they're from somewhere else. That's all it means. Metaphysical beings, like the archangels, for example, and half of the Orion souls, these are, the soul is immortal. The soul cannot die. So it goes in and out of incarnation, lifetime after lifetime. So after you die, your soul goes back into metaphysical form with in the higher energetic realm. So metaphysical beings, again, they are positive beings like the archangels. They are negative beings like the Dracos, but they do not have a physical body. They live in a world of pure energy and vibrations.
So they would be interdimensionals as well.
Yeah, metaphysical beings mean interdimensional beings.
Okay, all right. Now, what is the concern of Voice of God technology as compared to messages from spirits?
Yeah, I heard that in the. There's a lot of concerns about and hesitation about channeling because of Voice of God technology being used extensively. And first, I have to say that the concerns over not trusting channeling is very genuine because on average, channelers have 5 to 15% accuracy in what they're channeling, and that's very frustrating even to the archangels. Yeah. But the Voice of God technology is responsible for maybe 10% of that. The real reason why people have such low accuracy in channeling is because people have certain beliefs, certain values, and they only listen to what they want to listen to. And even if I communicate a lot with Metatron, who's the singer of the Archangel. If I listen to a message from Metatron and say it to other channelers, generally they'll think I'm crazy and look the other way. So if they listen directly, Metatron tries to communicate with him directly, the message won't get it. It won't come any better. But then there's also Voice of God technology that the Cabal uses to feed voices into people. But that's one type of many types of mind control and influence that's been going on. And the Dracos and various other groups, they've been shooting all of their most advanced weaponries at me, and I have immunity to that. And for me, energetic distortions is a daily reality. So I know I need to clear the channel first, identify the source, see where it's coming from, and then I can take the message, and then I use muscle testing to validate if the message is accurate. But then it's not just about Voice of God technology. The truth is any being can communicate with you. Some of them are positive, some of them are negative. Some of them can have good intentions but bring a distorted message. So just like, it's not any different than if someone else around you gives you a message, you need to be able to distinguish the truth and to apply the truth, no matter who it's coming from.
And I think it's also relevant to mention what Voice of God technology is. And it is my belief and understanding that is neurophone type technology that projects thoughts into people's minds via satellites. Is that correct? Accurate?
People use the term satellite because they don't understand the way the psychic reality work. Like what they call satellite, and it's metaphysical technology. So when it works with the laws of quantum physics and with the energetic planes, distance doesn't matter. So someone on Mars could use like any kind of remote influence, whether with the mind alone or with technology, to someone on the Earth or someone anywhere else.
Okay, good. All right, makes sense. You said that I have a soul structure built in 8 densities. What does that mean? And does that mean everybody has 8 densities, or I guess we all vary thereof?
Okay. So most people who talk about the ascension believe that I mean the densities is the evolution level of life, where plants and minerals are first density, animals are second density, humans are third density, and they believe that Earth is transitioning into fourth density. That's a lie. The archangels are between 6th and 9th density. The avians, the elders of the avians who are guardians are between 6th and 9th density, but one of the elders, Ra, is 45th density, and the one with the triangle head shaped head is 78th density.
Do they wear Egyptian type robes, the triangle head ones?
They can wear whatever they want to wear.
Okay, typically. All right. Yeah, some describe. I believe they describe them looking like that.
I interact with all these beings psychically, so I don't see them like physically around me, so I cannot say like how they like to dress and stuff. And some of them are incarnate, a lot of them are not incarnate, but for me, it doesn't make any difference.
So, what was your role as the first Commander of Orion?
But first, I'll finish answering your other question. So, yeah, so the souls of Orion were between 8th density and 35 density for the most part, and some 45 density and some even more than that. So these are extremely advanced beings. And also, one thing that David Wilcock mentioned is the avians built a quarantine zone around the solar system to prevent traffic in and out. I looked at it. That technology is 42nd density energetic technology. 9th density beings cannot create 42nd density technologies. That's Orion technology. That's the kind of technology we build.
So does that mean the 30? Because you said the Orions, the highest they had was 35 density.
No. Vladimir Putin has a soul structure built in 114 densities. Right now he has access to about 0.5% of his true soul power. He still has no idea who he is.
Right. Okay. Some say that he's a clone of Alexander the Great. I don't know. Can you confirm that? No. Okay. All right. So does that mean the Immortals that come from Orion have a higher density?
They let's say the planet that was destroyed was the most advanced civilization in the universe.
Wow. Well, why would they be? You would think they would have protection defenses to protect them from being destroyed. What happened?
Yes.
Was that the Dracos
Let's
again?
just say the Drake. We were destroyed by the Dracos, and we did have defenses for these kind of threats, and somehow the or intelligence field.
What did the original planet
like
Go ahead.
Yeah, like all the details of that are in the book, so I'll try not to repeat the information in the book, but like to
well, can you describe what the original Orion planet looked like? Was it very beautiful or technological or?
Very beautiful, very prosperous. I still have very limited memories of it, but we're generally 13 foot high, so generally 7 foot to 15 foot.
Now you said that I was from Orion, which
really, you've definitely spent some time in Orion. You were in the Orion defense teams, but I think you come from other places, but you've grown there, and also think that you've played a very important role in the Second Great Galactic War. But I don't have any more details about that. It's just
that's fine. I understand. Well, I was wondering, are you familiar with the organization called the Orion Club organization?
Well, Orion is being used for like a wide range of things. So like the people of Orion, they were in ancient history, they were worshipped as God because they were a lot more spiritually developed, and they came here to helping the population. So, but I mean, it's not like real God. It's just more advanced. So yeah, maybe calling it demigod will be more accurate. But all the Orion souls were.
And unfortunately, Adrian is dropped from the conversation, so he won't be asking any questions. But go ahead. Did you wanted to comment something?
Yeah. So when we evacuated on Earth, a lot of the Orion people and also the Lemurians, the Andromedians, many of the more advanced groups, they built great cities in different places in the north of Africa, in Atlantis, near the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. And so they came here 12,300 years ago. 6,000 years ago, the Dracos came again and destroyed all the golden cities. And after being destroyed a second time, then our memories had to be sealed, and we had to hide in order to survive. And those who did not hide properly, their souls have been trapped and chained, and it's like they've been completely crippled and it's like caged by the Dracos.
Yeah, in the IM series books by Guy Ballard, the first one actually talks about a city in the Sahara where the city was paved in gold, and there was diamond-like encrusted buildings. It was absolutely phenomenally beautiful, and the Sahara was a grassland basically, and very fertile grassland. So was that one of the golden cities? That civilization?
Yeah, north of Africa, where like the Sahara Desert is just, you don't see any desert like that anywhere else on the planet. It just got like wiped out by massive laser blasts.
Right. And something in the book, it actually talks about how the consciousness of the people dropped, so the Ascendant Masters pulled away their protection, and maybe that has to do with us dropping in density, perhaps with Atlantis collapsing falling into the ocean.
Well, after that, the Dracos took over the world, so we were in those who were a threat to the Dracos went in hiding. And then, like, it just the planet went under control. I mean, people are concerned about like the German groups went in space in the 50s, and now they're in control of the planet. I mean that's recent history, and a small group of people borrowing a couple of advanced technologies for older civilizations doesn't make them any more mature. They don't understand that the war that's happening doesn't date from the past 60 years. I mean, now we're coming out of the cycle of past 12,300 years.
with the precession of the equinoxes.
Yeah, the control of the Dracos. I mean, doesn't date from yesterday. They've had like a strong grip of the planet for the past 6,000 years. And people are wondering where is Atlantis, and all kind of speculations. Atlantis is in is it Ireland or Scotland? Well, at the coast, Ireland, at the Scotway of the Giants. That's the foundation of Atlantis.
But probably another space-time dimension. A different space-time dimension that we can't see from this physical realm.
No, it was here. I mean, vitrified stone, you don't find that in nature. It's done using highly advanced technologies, and the foundation of Atlantis was built on vitrified stone. Now the foundation is still there in plain sight, and it's called Causeway of the Giants. It's hidden in plain sight.
Great. Yeah, that's true. I believe you. Okay, so moving on. Yes, go ahead.
Well, what a lot of people have a lot of hesitations with what I say first, because it really doesn't match the information that's out there, and because I see a lot of things that people really don't want to hear. And it's kind of just like, okay, it's like I'm saying that, and it's like, what proof is there? Could you talk a bit about what's been happening on your side ever since we spoke the first time?
Yeah, okay. So that I was actually supposed to throw that point out there to introduce Etienne. But so this afternoon I took a nap, and when I woke up, my arm was hurting really bad. And I was like, okay, well, that's strange. And I looked at it, and I didn't see any marks or anything. I did have something on my shoulder. It looked like, I don't know, maybe a scrape mark or something on both sides of my shoulder. And but then the pain kept persisting for a couple of hours, and it still hurts a bit. So I was mentioning it to Etienne. I said, "Well, do you think something happened?" And he mentioned, and I was just joking. I said, "Well, do you think they might have cut my arm off and replaced it?" And then you said something in the lines, because you started channeling. Okay, I don't have it in my notes. You're gonna have to say it, but you channeled Metatron, and Metatron said something in the lines that confirmed that was the case.
Well, yeah, it's like the message I got, the communication I received from Metatron are always very accurate, but that one, for me, doesn't make any sense. They cut your arm off and replaced it with one they could control. Doesn't make any sense to me. But then I looked, a very strong energetic implant used to control it. So I just freeze the energy, and then the connected energy just collapses, and then I heard them screaming and stuff, and it's like, okay.
They're like saying, "Oh," starts cursing and this and that.
But also the other day when we spoke, most of the abductions are done by the CAA groups and like the groups in space, German groups. And it seems they install screen memories that you're abducted by alien, but the truth is most of it is done by the CIA. And they got a
secret
message
government
that
groups, not really CIA, secret government groups.
Secret government. And they got the message that abductions will no longer be tolerated. And when we were talking in the call, they had the guts to abduct you right in the middle of the call.
That's right. In our first conversation, I interrupted you and said, Etienne, my nose is bleeding. So, something just happened. Did you notice any? I don't. So if you saw something,
the corner
I guess.
Of your mouth,
yeah. I showed you the mark, but I was interested if you actually noticed me popping out of time, and apparently you didn't, because I guess they're so fast, their technology is so advanced that even very gifted clairvoyants such as yourself can be fooled occasionally.
I like abduction for me is a very new concept. I wasn't really I heard about it, but wasn't really familiar with it before. Now they did it right in front of my eyes, so I see what they are doing and how they're doing it. I didn't realize it at the time. Like, I had no idea how it operates. They portaled you out, did some more. Basically, I was doing some energy work on you to unprogram your DNA and like to remove their mind control structures on you and heal your DNA. And they portaled you out, undid the work I did, and then brought you, like, time traveled you back in time, like at the moment. So like nothing really happened here. But then I looked, and your energy was different all of a sudden. They undid the work that I did.
This has got to stop, because this has been going on for me every day for nearly over 10 years now, at least. But a lot of people out there also have experiencing these same experiences, and we feel like there's nothing we can do. We're basically sitting ducks. And I mean, I have black tourmaline in my windows, and I've done the sage, I've done putting Reiki symbols on my walls, I've prayed to the archangels, I prayed for the time travelers from the future to help us out, and it still keeps going on and on and on. So,
and it's been happening on a daily basis since we spoke last time. Did it? How many times did that happen?
It seems like that it's only happened twice since, I guess. But honestly, I don't even check anymore, because it's happened so often that I just don't care to look.
Yeah, it used to happen daily. Yeah, I do think they did it once or twice, because I see they undid again the work that I did on you, but it's not happening on a daily basis like before. When they did that, when they took you out in the middle of a call, I really didn't take it well. I just sent them like a massive burst of energy, and they didn't see that coming. And I heard they've been going through some challenges since.
Well, didn't you say that you destroyed billions of dollars of equipment or something like that?
Blew up a couple of things, but yeah, no, it's. I mean, all these mind control programs and all of that, they're draining all of the tax money, the government money is getting drained out into these space programs and into these secret shadow government programs to develop all of that. So many billion trillions of dollars going to developing that. Then I come along, send a massive burst of energy, and now when they did that, I also see how they're blocking your memories, how they're swiping your memories. They're installing energetic veils around your head. So now we're lifting them all up, and now you're starting to have more awareness and more memories, and many other people are reporting since then that they're starting to have more flashbacks, dreams, and stuff coming back to them. So not only the Archangels, the Avians Federation, and the Planetary Council of Light, they unanimously declare that abductions are no longer tolerated, but also the people who do get abducted are getting their memories back.
Yeah, you said something about 50%. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the Greys removed artificial programs and restored my DNA to a natural state. And you also said that these Greys used to work for the Dracos, but now that they're destroyed, they're bored and want to help, I guess.
And to explain a bit more of the context of what's been happening, I mean, everybody in the secret government think they're top level. They have no idea what's going on above them. There's one woman who came to me. She's a psychic assassin, and these are some of their most deadly weapons. So they'll psychically attack people for doing certain operations, either getting people sick or killing them or altering situations, and they're undetectable, untraceable, and just doing that with very powerful psychic abilities. And they're controlled, again, with chips in their head. So I saw there was a chip there, and she was programmed to attack me. She was unable to do anything because my energy is immune. So instead, she hired me to free her. And I looked above her, I saw, I don't remember, it's like about 60 Draco spaceships. and a mind control power structure that was spread in over 492 galaxies. And then the people like the Earth Space Program, they think they're at the top. They have no idea what's above them. But then we just, I mean, if that's the same power structure that controls the elite, so I thought we just blew out the whole thing. And now she's no longer under their control, and she has very powerful psychic abilities. So now she's recovering.
That's awesome. Well, I'm really happy that you do that. And I also want to mention that throughout the years, I've talked to a lot of people who have psychic gifts and abilities who are not actually in these Milab programs. And the vast majority of them get very, very scared. Once they start seeing visions of reptilians and Dracos and mind control and being in Montauk underground bases, they just start to freak out and they don't want to help. Or they just maybe they become controlled themselves. Maybe they're already controlled. Maybe that was the whole point.
The Dracos up until they were two main real threats in the universe up until recently. The Dracos, these metaphysical overlords, they're extremely powerful. The movie that just came out, Doctor Strange, they talk about opening up, drawing onto the dark powers. It's a very, there's no fiction in that movie. And what they're showing there is a very accurate representation of the Dracos. What they call the dark dimension is the Dracos. And they, up until recently, they had partial control of 81% of the universe. And these parasites they don't come from this universe, they come from the Theta universe above us. And then what we're having here on Earth is a universe, is the tipping point of a war that's been going on of the universe that's coming from the Theta universe, and that's culminating right here, right now.
Yeah, and some even suggest that the Draco are infected with PPAI, which is the predatory pathogenic artificial intelligence, the black goo. And that's what they turned them so negative.
That's where there's a lot of confusion. So there's the reptilian race, there's the metaphysical beings, and there's the cyborgs, which is another thing. So the Draco's metaphysical beings used to control 81% of partial control of 81% of the universe. The cyborgs are AI robots. Some of them are physical. There are different versions of it. The more advanced are metaphysical robots designed to control the past from the future and are extremely dangerous. And they had solid control of 11% of the universe, 11% of advanced civilizations. So these three things, the reptilian race, host the Draco metaphysical parasites and are infested with it because they work in symbiosis. And then there's the cyborg AI robots, and it's basically there's also been a war between the Dracos and the cyborg for power, but the cyborgs have not been too much in our solar system, but it's some of it has been here, but they're mostly in the other places in the universe. But yeah, there's been some fighting in between the Dracos and the cyborg, but it's people talking about that, even the people who disclose space program information, the people in the space program don't understand any of it, so they just mix all these topics up.
Yeah, I agree. I agree for sure. Now, you mentioned that you did something to the lower Dantian reservoir of energy. So assuming that's part of your energy work with the chakra alignments.
Well, yeah, I did some work on... Well, actually, no, that's pretty stuck again. So just one thing I want to say is there's a lot... the Orion people, we're specialists of building energetic technologies, and there's a lot of energetic infrastructure that is now in place, defensive technologies for the most part to protect us. And some of these defensive generators, like we'll just beam them on your lower dantians, like we'll just clear up the space and protect you. So like I'll just do that right now. Well, ask someone to do it for me and wait. No. One Orion soul is responsible for handling these technologies, these metaphysical. So, do you feel a difference?
Yeah, I do. I feel a lot more relaxed, for sure. So maybe were they maybe short circuiting my Kundalini? Is that why a lot of us super soldiers don't seem to be able to access our abilities?
Well, everyone in the space program have a chip installed in their mind. The chip gives them, and that you introduced me to that. I look at that, and that's really interesting. And that will also help the space program understand what's going on. So, well, the chip is used for mind control. So everyone chipped with that, everything they see goes into the network and used to control them. They also use it for communication between agents. And the chip wraps around the pineal gland, so it completely blocks your well, not completely, but it severely limits your real intuitive abilities, and the chip takes control over it. I believe in some ways it can amplify psychic abilities on demand, and in other ways it blocks your natural abilities. And there's been some interest. Yeah.
Well, I think it's relative to also mention the way I actually found out about this was through a remote viewing session, and we were looking at this implant, and it had it was manufactured by Braun, which is a German appliance manufacturer. Usually they make toaster ovens, but maybe they have an underground division in a secret base somewhere where they produce this technology. But essentially, the implant was pumping a drug directly into the pineal gland, which would turn off the abilities. And then when they want to activate the alter or the super soldier abilities, they would shut that implant down, and then the full potential of the entity or the person would activate. In my particular case, go ahead. You want to add?
Yeah, your chip is a little bit different than the other ones I've seen. Because normally, like the psychic assassin girl, she got a chip installed in her head when she went into a hospital in Sweden, and there they installed a chip on her. Yours is a little bit different because it seems to be like a biological chip that's programmed into your DNA and then kind of grows into form through your DNA.
Well, yeah. Well, what we were actually looking at is it appears that the chip was physical at one point, and then within a year or so it broke down, but somehow it affected my DNA, and I guess that's where you said the biological holographic projection code was inserted into my DNA, and it created this a biological component that basically my body created a biological implant that continue to produce the drug. And I think they were actually teleporting the drug directly into the brain, and then once the biological implant grew, then they didn't need to do that anymore. Now it just makes it on its own, which is unfortunately... Yes? I'm
getting a message from Metatron, the Senior of the Archangels, as you're mentioning that. Yeah, it does make sense. You had the chip installed, but you have too much power within you for the chip to work on you, and the chip, like basically the chip grilled. And so they brought you into a different program instead, into the Super Soldiers program, and installed a prototype of a different kind of chip.
part of my early history, it shows that I was part of Project Abandon, which means I was basically a failed project that they were trying to recuperate with nano injections. I have no idea what, probably more PPAI, but that particular file does not say if it was successful or not, but I'm assuming it was successful considering all the other memories I'm having, super soldier experiences. So, yeah, so this chip is a problematic, and you said the Greys want to remove it. I don't know if you said. Oh, they also inserted a metaphysical substance into my bloodstream to reduce effectiveness of mind swipes 50%.
Yeah, the archangel. Yeah, the archangels are like helping, just putting an energy within everyone going through the abduction to make the mind swipes less effective. And then on top of that, I create a massive vortex using archetypes that's lifting all of the veils and healing on a continual basis.
So does that affect all of my labs? They're helping all of us, or maybe do we have to request help first?
Yeah, helping everyone that they're fighting so far. So anyone who is going through these experiences to contact the archangels with their mind and let them know that they are going through abduction, and there are metaphysical teams in place to take care of it.
All right, good. Well, it's good to hear that they actually want to help. That's certainly positive news.
And actually, Metatron is asking me to say this. Some people have in the space program have a bad view of the archangels because they did not come in when they were calling for help. And one thing they have to understand is that the power structure that you guys have been under did not allow for them to come in. The energy is like you were locked into a dark control grid that does not allow for the light to come in up until now.
Well, but now that's changed because of why?
Yes.
Why has that changed?
Because the Dracos are gone, the Dark Forces are gone, the Psychic War is over. Also, another thing interesting that happened, you did an interview with Penny, like the last interview you did what with her. And I've been helping her as well, and now she's breaking free, like for the first time in her life, she's feeling more free. But I saw the chip in her head, like it's the second time I see a chip like that. It's like I just grilled it with my head. And then she said, after that she got visited by the mantis, the insectoids living on Mars, and they psychically communicated with her and were concerned about her breaking free of the control of the secret government. Then I was thinking, why the hell do they care? The secret government, the Germans, have been nuking the Mantis group, and they've been the Dracos and the Mantis have been at war between each other. Why do they care about that? And then a couple, like maybe a day or two later, then I got the answer. The Cabal, their source of power was the Dracos. Now they, without that source of power, they're falling at free fall speed. So they contacted the Mantis to make a deal with them to draw from their psychic power, because the Mantis also have a lot of psychic powers. So I telepathically communicated with the Mantis, and I told them, are you sure you want to take part of this? The Dracos have gone extinct. Do you really want to take part with them? And they're like, we're out of here. And it's like, so the Cabal, the Dracos don't want to help them. The Mantis don't want to help them. They have no psychic power to back them up. None of the more powerful groups out there are willing to help them anymore.
I did a regression once a few years back with Ian, and he claimed to go to a base in South America where the Cabal or maybe various German groups with the United States secret government groups were meeting together to do a joint attack against the Mantoid homeworld. And so we opened up a portal and allowed some of the mantoids to remote view the situation, and we got their opinion about it, and they were very disappointed, basically, on just how the rulers of this world are treating the populace, and of course they know they wouldn't have a chance against them. But anyway, but it's good to know that even though they may look like insects and they might be a little scary looking, that they do care, and that some of them are very loving and benevolent.
Yeah. And up until Penny told me about that, like, I've had no contact whatsoever with the mantis. When she told me that, I was like, what the heck is that? Like, there was like a lot of really weird stuff going on. So I saw them psychically. Okay, the mantis are real. What Corey Good has been saying about them is accurate. One other thing I do is I look at things, look at people. I can measure their frequency on the Hawkins scale of consciousness. Hawkins it's very useful methodology. Hawkins says the scale goes from 0 to 1,000. That's not true. It can go well above 1,000. It can go well below 0. The dark power, they're like the shadow government is like most shadow government agents on Earth, propaganda agent, they're at the vibration minus 315. Some of the deeper powers, they can be like minus 1,000, some minus 2,000. The sun is 8 million on the Hawkins scales. So there's no limit to that scale. But the mantis, they're at 0. So what I'm feeling, they're neither good nor bad. They have strong psychic abilities. I mean, they just want to, they just care about their survival, their well-being. They don't want to do harm to anyone. They just want to be left alone to live their lives. But then
maybe it's because their soul energy is animated from the Earth or the planet that they reside on.
Not sure I understand what you said there.
That they don't necessarily have a soul other than what's animated from the planet itself.
No. They have a soul. Wait a second. Now that you're mentioning that, what I'm seeing right now, I mean, Corey mentioned that they have a true hive consciousness. What I'm seeing right now, they do have a soul. And the key is a soul. So it seems the entire hive is one mega soul multi-incarnated into many physical bodies. And that's the way I get my information.
A lot of animals are like that too.
I just see the way things are.
A lot of animal groups are like that as well. Group souls. Like fish.
I don't know, not true. Well, what I just said there is something I never thought about, so I couldn't say more detail than that. If some species on the Earth,
well, could you comment on what Hillary Clinton and Trump's Hawkins scale, is that what you called it? Level is it the Hawkins scale, or was it something else?
Well, yeah, I can measure them on like Trump is like 34, so it's a fascist, angry energy, and Clinton, like now with all the chaos, it varies a lot. Like right now, it's about minus 415.
So Donald Trump will probably be a little bit better.
So we have the choice between fascism or dark force corruption. But on that, Trump definitely wins. But there's a lot more going on right now, so I doubt that the election is going to happen when it's supposed to happen.
I want to talk about that, but I don't know. Should we go into it now? You think it's appropriate to talk about what's going to happen with the elections?
Okay, so I want to talk about some of the latest developments in terms of understanding the current geopolitical situation. So the Dracos are no longer in power. The space groups and the cabal are on their own without any source of power behind them. Their only source of power right now is that the population itself right now gives 90% of their creative force to maintaining the core powers in place. That is their only source of power at this point. The population itself. So many of the Orion souls and Lemurian and Andromedan souls are now in charge of the planetary energy field and form the Planetary Council of Light, who is in charge of the global flow of energies and international events. So it's like in order for energies, for power to shift in a certain way, it needs to be approved by the council. Then there's the Orion Special Forces, which is an army of 10,000 Immortals of Orion who are getting back on their feet, are also operational in case they are an energetic threat, and you should not underestimate the power of 10,000 Orion Immortals. Then the Archangels, there are 300,000 Archangels that are getting more and more active in the physical plane as the veil is thickening, and heaven and earth are joining with each other. Basically, heaven and earth are colliding with each other. And the people who have taken an escapist approach to spirituality, they're crashing back down on earth. So now we need to embrace both earth and heaven and can no longer take a philosophy of denial and escapism. And then there's also the Avians Federation, who's closely watching over the situation, and I'm part of the High Council of the Avians Federation. So I'm involved in all of these decisions, and I've been helping to set up these metaphysical teams in place.
Does that mean in your past life you were an avian?
No, but the Orion and the Avians were had close ties with each other, and they got a lot of technologies from the Orion. I mean, it's like we're both Warriors.
Yeah, so is this the same group that Corey Good talks about, the Sphere Being Alliance?
Yes. And I also can give more details about the Avians. I've been talking regularly with them, telepathically through psychic and interfacing. Like the movie Avatar represents a war between the people controlled by the Dracos and the blue avians, that a war that happened in the past. And what they told me is it's about 92% accurate representation of one of their past wars. The blue avians have 7 planets they inhabit, and they are between 3rd density to 9th density beings for the most part. So they're not all advanced like the Guardians. Many of them are kind of like us, but like different philosophy, different planets and stuff. But they do train like Jedis, and the more advanced Jedis then become the Guardians of the Galaxy. But they inhabit 7 worlds. So there's all of these people in place. And so, I mean, if the Cabal saying they're having small problems, they really don't understand the scope of the situation. The Dracos decided to fight until the end, until extinction, and both the Dracos and the Cyborgs have gone extinct from the universe because they just wouldn't give up. And a new reality is asserting itself no matter what. And the people of Orion will no longer hide. Another interesting thing that happens, like I saw there's a chip, Penny had a chip that I grilled, the Psychiatrist had a chip that I grilled, but everyone that goes into these space programs, and I realize like a lot of people are getting aware that that's been happening. They all have a chip that's plugged into sort of an internet, but built on the metaphysical level.
Yeah, that's
so
a
the
good
Germans.
I'm glad you brought that up. You want? What is that called?
Yeah, it's called Skynet, and yeah, I want to talk about that. So the Germans in the 50s built a metaphysical network that's used by the communication between all of the various space programs. You talk about the chat rooms that's passing through that network, all the chips, the mind control function, chat rooms, all of that. When they want to communicate between Mars and Earth and satellites and spaceships, I mean, sending radio waves just wouldn't work. So they use the psychic, they build that up at the psychic level so that they can have instantaneous communication at that level. But one cannot just plug their minds in that, because it's not like analog communication that the mind can plug into. It's digital encrypted communication built on low-level energetic laws. The problem with that is that the energetic laws are highly malleable. So it took the Orion engineers, metaphysical beings, 2 hours to hijack the system and kick out the 4 super admins, which were 3 Germans and 1 of the dark cyborgs.
Those were the 4 admins?
Yeah. So under the influence of the cyborgs, they built a cyborg heaven that controls 40% of the military, that controls the satellite, that controls all the mind control, that the cyborgs with their AI can come in and control at any time. They don't understand the risk that they've put all of us in. Now understand, there's also another timeline where after the... Let me finish this. After the Dracos were defeated, in another timeline, the cyborgs immediately took over, and that just went through hell. But that explains how the cyborgs could take over so easily. Okay. What did you want to say?
Yeah, so apparently there was a parallel reality where Earth went through cataclysms, and then the super soldiers, after the New World Order was announced, they rebelled against their handlers, and they took over the system, and they killed off the Cabal, and then they were running everything. But they were plugged into an AI, and I became infected to the point where I no longer had a human personality. It was basically all cybernetic. So you're saying that this network could theoretically, a virus could be injected where the cyborgs could become self-aware, and then the system could basically be shut down or taken over, I suppose, shut down in its current form, and
yes, absolutely.
And even the Palladians, they mentioned through Billy Meyer in the Enoch prophecies that the government, through their desire for power, will create an army of clone super soldiers that will rank by rank and division by division destroy and pillage the planet Earth if they became I'm going to say self-aware, but free of their programming. So, but because they've been genetically engineered to lack emotion and compassion, they're basically killing machines. That's the reason why they would do that.
Yeah, but what I want to emphasize at this point is, without control of the energetic reality, they have no control of the physical reality. So the war is already over. They just don't realize it yet.
Well, maybe now they do after watching this video.
Hopefully. But there's going to be a lot more coming. And yeah.
So you say, okay, so it's called Skynet. There are 7 million chat rooms. Does that mean there's 7 million people? Each person is one chat room? How does that work?
Well, so they've been analyzing the data. It's a huge sea of data, so it's kind of a mess to go through, and a lot of it is like all of the chip functions are pretty easy to access, which all the mind control functions, chat room communication, like all the chip functions are very easy to access. But then everything that's plugged into machineries, like satellites, weaponry, like all the military communications are encrypted. So like the system itself, like doesn't see any unencrypted data coming in and out. So it's just like a sea of data without context. However, turning channels on and off is very easy.
Yeah, okay, I want to mention, so I actually had a chance, with help from Adrian, to visit the Sabretooth chat room, which is associated with my programming. And so we were asking them for information on what's the percentage of the odds that James Rink will get his memories back. I meant to say his. His memories back. And someone said James Rink is not the right name. And they said that he's only known as James Rilsberg. That's who I was before I was re-aged back in the late 1970s. I was in the U.S. Army in the Delta. I believe it was the Delta Force. It says Delta 1 in my profile, so I'm assuming it's Delta Force. And they said that no way, James Rink is doomed. James Rink is untraceable. And then they went on talking about how they're betting $21 million for the parts for Sabretooth for a mission on Iraq. Then they kicked us out of the chat room. So then we went into another room. I guess there was a video file, this was back in April. And it showed me involved in porn in a base in Finland, which involved a horse and programming children at Montauk. I don't recall any of that. I hope I don't. I don't think I ever want to. And then they went on about there were other videos about me abducting children in white vans. But this is all through my clone body. He's put into an AI. It's not me doing this. Well, I guess my DNA is doing it, I suppose. That was one room. Then we also went into another room. It was an Illuminati chat room. And that we actually got your help because you told us to go through this process to get access to it, which we did. And they were talking about rituals, killing people. They were talking about, of course, it was about Halloween coming up, making money, investments, more ways of getting power. But anyway, so yeah, apparently, so that's just two chat rooms, and there's 7 million more to go. But you say that.
Well, just correct.
Go ahead.
It's not 7 million chat rooms, 7 million communication channels in chat rooms. So some of them, it's like they found 6 that were related to aggregating all the mass surveillance data, passing through. All the chips and cell phones, laptop, everything civilian, and to collect data from your equipment is done through cell phone network. But then the aggregation of the data is transferred through Skynet, and just turning these 6 channels off. I heard from someone else that apparently the Five Eyes intelligence went in the dark. It's unlikely to go back online anytime soon.
The 5 what?
Five Eyes intelligence. If you turn off the channels, they get no longer any data.
So this is the NSA group. So they're doing the surveillance. You said that the 6 channels that aggregate mass surveillance data got turned off. You said it's unlikely that they'll go back online anytime soon, and they're freaking panicking. This is why. Oh.
Well, they believe their access got revoked because. That it got revoked because the system is unhackable.
That doesn't make sense. They believe it got revoked because the system's unhackable?
Yeah, but like it's the military network, there's no way to hack it. It took metaphysical beings 2 hours to get in.
Yeah, and we've been going in there for a couple months already.
Well, but all the data being transmitted is encrypted, so it's like very difficult to actually access what's in there.
Unless you so you can access it if you have you stated physical chips, biological chips, and chips in a machine. I don't quite understand what you meant.
Let's say if they have a satellite, how do they control it? Then they use that internet network. So they have like all kind of technologies. All military installations use the network to transmit the data over without passing through our standard internet network. So it's the It's the backbone of all military installations and space program installations.
The data is digital, psychic data, not analog, and requires technological interface to translate analog to digital. So the question, how are you able to access it? If you said you don't have any chips in you.
I won't, yeah, I won't give any more details on that. But I mean the Orion souls. I mean, that's not my specialty, but the metaphysical beings, the Orion souls, are specialists at metaphysical technologies. I mean, it's their specialty to just build an interface to bypass that. It's that. I mean, that's easy work. I mean, we've been building much more advanced defensive infrastructure around the planet than that. I mean, that's just.
I also want to mention you said that the Skynet also controls secure communication, energetically encrypted, mind control protocol chips and communication, archives, drones, satellites, and of course you've already said 40% of U.S. Army offense and defense weapons and most space-based weapons of the Germans. And you also mentioned something about synchronizing subconscious power of creation.
Oh, yeah. I mentioned that we create reality. That's why they have so much importance on mind controlling us to create what they want us to create. But also through that, they're able to, well, mind control the people, but also to mind control everyone in the system, so to kind of create something in the same direction in a synchronized way. Because if, like, the healing world right now and the truth, like all the truth leaders, they're pulling in 1,000 different directions. They're too busy proving themselves right to work with each other. That's only going to create chaos, and that is the #1 challenge we face today. Whereas what they do with these chips, they can synchronize everyone to create their agenda in the same direction.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
Question about that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you also said that so you destroyed the chip on my head, and then you mentioned something about it destroyed the ability to drive an avatar.
Well, they've been. I mean, every time they abduct you and they put it back.
Guess not. I can still drive avatars. Oh, okay. Well, you said it. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, another thing I want to say. So everyone who went into the space programs got brought back, got their mind swiped, have a chip in their mind giving them access to the Skynet network. And they will find the network to be highly cooperative if they just ask for, let's say, their archives and files to be handed over to them. That might help them to recover their memories.
Maybe they can work with hypnotherapy or regression. Would that help?
No need for that. They can access their files. No, the chip. If they know how to use the chip in their mind, this chip gives them access to the network. The network can hand them over their files. Basically, the network is unlocked. They just need to.
Yeah, I was told that you need your ID number and soul signature to access Skynet.
Well, do you need that to I'm not quite sure how it's supposed to work for the end user, but I believe one chip is kind of permanently plugged into it, and then just the system needs to access that for you when you're logging in. But I'm not I don't have a chip, so I'm not exactly sure how it's working for the end user.
So when you saw my avatars, you claimed they looked like they were in cages, and they were basically like dolls.
Well, yeah, it just makes sense. I mean, if they build an avatar for you, like they won't just leave it in the open space. It's like it's locked somewhere until they need it.
Yeah, right. Okay, and what are some of the different AI seen within Skynet?
There's some admin programs that were overseeing the system. It's like many of the features of Skynet are getting deactivated without going into all the details.
Is that
It's just
where, like in the Terminator series, where Skynet became self-aware?
no, like the cyborgs had full admin access to the system, but they were not controlling it. They just had a back door to come in easily whenever they wanted to. The AI, like the AI, is just like a primitive form of AI.
Okay. Then you said something about an AI demon that replaced other AI.
Uh oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm not okay. That's one part. I'm not exactly sure because there's a lot of confusion between different groups of power. So I heard several times people claiming that they were under control of an AI demon. So that would be the cyborg, but the ones who were really in control were the Dracos, not AI, but through direct mind control power. It's like the AI is really intelligent control. Cyborg is raw power. It's like completely different. But it seems like both of them were in control in different ways. So there's still like a gray area I'm not quite sure about there. But both were basically fighting for influence over people.
Are you familiar with the arachnoids and the octopus people, men,
No.
entities? Okay, because apparently these two groups of extraterrestrials or interdimensionals were even more notorious than the Draco. But
You say like the octopus?
yeah, I believe they actually like drain people their energy, and of course the arachnoids would probably be defined as the
Well,
archons.
that's what the Dracos did, but they were certain what I call Draco hives that were on the planet, and that is some very nasty power that was there, and that's explained in the book as part of the psychic war. So probably you're like the octopus were the Draco hives. One, the largest Draco hive was in the bottom of the Pacific. There was another one. Like I was living in Yucatan in Mexico, like in Playa del Carmen. I was sitting over their second layer, just Draco base in the world, and was having all kind of crazy psychic stuff going on. It took me a while to realize that I was sitting right on top of their second largest base. But there were a couple of hives like that. It's nasty stuff.
Would you like to elaborate a little bit more about the current exopolitical situation with the various German groups and the cabal? So, do you see them liberating humanity? Because some claims Space Command wants to help us.
No, all the I mean all these people are getting abducted, controlled, memory swiped, controlled by chip. You think they're there to help humanity? They're only there to help themselves.
That's right. And even in their own groups, they keep slaves. They abduct people from planet Earth, sell them into slavery to other extraterrestrial groups, or they sell them for food. I don't know if you're getting this information from Metatron, or I don't know how you see it, but you claim there's going to be an EMP attack on America, which is a electromagnetic pulse from, I'm assuming, maybe a neutron bomb detonated in high orbit, probably over Kansas.
And well, that the Bible claims it.
Oh,
No, but seriously,
is that wormwood? References of wormwood in the Bible? The Book of
I
Revelations?
haven't read the Bible personally, but I know there's a lot of references to that specifically in the Bible. But it's just I heard people saying that, but like I'm not a Bible specialist. Just like just like Penny, because I have a lot of information on my own, I don't read a lot of material out there because I don't want to contaminate the authenticity of the information that I already have from inside.
So you claim this attack. There's a 94.8% chance that America will receive a large EMP within the next 4 months.
Well, let's view. Yeah, I've been tuning into the futures. Like I can tune to the future, look at different probabilities of what's going to happen. But the future is only probabilities. But we can measure those probabilities, and I was kind of surprised it hadn't happened yet. So I was wondering, okay, when is it going to happen? And it seems like a 4 months time frame seems pretty is what I'm getting. That we're locked in a timeline where it's pretty much unavoidable that things will escalate between the United States and Russia, ending in the EMP. But the thing I want to emphasize is that as of right now, the main challenge is not the cabal. Like destroying power structures is very easy. The challenge is replacing them with other people. We have no spiritually aligned leadership to replace them. And the heaven energies are colliding with the current spiritual leadership we have on Earth. And that leadership needs to be reoriented. But people have too much invested in their spiritual beliefs, their values, their work, their businesses, their coaching practices, and all of that to listen to higher truth that is different from what they've been doing all along. And people develop a very strong spiritual identity that they get very hold very tightly onto. That is the main challenge that we face, to get spiritually aligned people to embrace their leadership and to assume responsibility for creating a new world. We're not there. We're out right now. All the leaders are pulling 1,000 different directions, and the heaven energy are colliding against that. So yeah, I've been feeling 95% chance that we would have an EMP attack on the eastern coast of America. Then I've been tuning into the alternative, the 5% probability. What would that look like? And what I'm seeing is the cabal fighting back and well-intended people fighting back over a period of 20 years of guerrilla and spiritual procrastination.
Basically, civil war will break out.
Yes, I mean, there's going to be civil war either way, but there's a difference between a civil war where people fight, maybe in a violent way to cause a real revolution in a short amount of time, versus not having the Second American Revolution and having a long guerrilla over 20 years of stagnation and possibly missing the reunification with the cosmos that we already missed in 2012, and that we might miss the second date that's due in about 100 years. That is not a good scenario at all.
And it would probably mean a huge loss of lights as well.
Maybe. I think the pain will be more on an emotional level.
Brother against brother, sister against sister.
Become
angry
now.
The
there's a vortex of ascension. People they're just boiling internally, getting grilled by the higher energies. It's 95% of their energy is opposing this higher energy. They say they want ascension, but they're not ready for it. So it's from a higher perspective, the EMP would be the best way to break the old paradigms and pave the way for a new way of life. That will be the simplest way to put it.
Yeah, you stated that the probability
without killing the population. The EMP would only cripple the infrastructure, but would not kill the population. Yeah, there will be a lot of challenges, but that will be let's say the least worst of the options.
Yeah, well, I think I'm gonna disagree with you on that, because according to a study I believe it was done by the NSA, it's on supersolartalk.com. it stated that an EMP pulse over the United States would result in a 90% loss of life. And that's because the fuel pumps are driven by electricity. Without any fuel, we can't bring food to the supermarkets, and then in the hospitals.
That's assuming three factors. One is that the EMP is set with an intent of destroying the country. Second is that the cabal remains still hold on to power. And third, that there is no spiritual divine support from higher dimensional beings. And these three factors are not the case right now.
And there's another factor too. Peter has talked about this in an interview I did about 2 weeks ago. According to Lincoln Clay, who's head of the super soldier army, I guess, here on planet, the German groups here on planet Earth, they are creating an army. I believe there's about 100 million of them now that will come out. So essentially, in a EMP attack scenario, people will line up to go to the FEMA camps, and they will basically be fed poisoned food, and they will start dropping dead, and then a bunch of sleeper super soldiers will be activated, and next thing you know, they're going to be in the concentration camps killing off the cabal members. But also, these super soldiers that are being cloned underground right now by Lincoln Clay and his group, they have 3D printing technology, so they can manifest food out of thin air, so people will be able to be fed. All they have to do, so next thing you know, you start seeing these clone super soldiers walking down your street manifesting food and whatever else you want, as well as they have ability to reanimate the dead through the femto technology. They just touch the dead. I think it has to be done within a week. Otherwise, there's a limit to when you can reanimate the dead.
A lot of things could be in power, could happen, and I will emphasize again, we live in a holographic universe. What happens physically, well, at least the outcome of the physical actions are determined by the energetic reality. So the Planetary Council of Light would not allow for these powers to take over the population or do operations like that. They would get neutralized by very powerful spiritual beings very, very quickly. So not much they could actually do, no matter what they're thinking. But also, no savior is coming in either. It is the population who must grow and learn to take responsibility for their lives instead of waiting for a savior. The reason the other groups cannot show here right now is because if they do, the people are already desperately looking for saviors to come in and save them and provide them advanced technologies. They give them advanced technologies right now, we'll destroy ourselves with it. Cannot do that. We don't have the maturity for it yet. If they come in, help us directly, the people will worship them as God and cling unto them as saviors even more. That would make the situation even worse. So they must leave us to go through a trial by fire to learn to harness our own inner power and stop depending on others. Because we have literally zero experience in creating reality without more powerful groups controlling things for us. And the people are totally unaware of what it is that they're creating. Whatever they go through is their pure creation, and they must face what they're creating in order to become conscious of it, and in order to create something different, whether in this life or in the next life.
Yeah, so can you elaborate on who is going to be actually delivering this EMP payload? Is it going to be, it's going to be the Cabal.
No, well, obviously it's going to be the Russians. The tension's been between the U.S. and the Russians. And the Russians lately, I've seen they've revealed, like some article came out that they revealed some new ultra advanced electromagnetic weapons that can grill systems. And I also heard David Wilcock talk about that. Like they use some of these weapons to completely disable some ships in the Mediterranean Sea, I believe, that just like grilled all the electronics. But now they revealed publicly that they have these weaponries.
Mm-hmm. Well, I believe John Teeter, who is part of a time travel division out of Area 51, has contacted Putin and warned him not to start World War III because the timelines show him being assassinated by his own group within Russia, his own people. So whether, I don't know, maybe he'll go along with it. I don't know, but
in terms of the EMP, I also want to stress that permission has been granted to Russia to use an EMP on America if deemed necessary by the Archangels and by the Avians Federation. So the permission has been granted, and if necessary, other groups could even come in and disable the defensive measures to make sure it happens. Yeah. Something else important I wanted, it just slipped out of my mind. Oh yeah, and the reason an EMP is being authorized is to avoid World War III, basically.
Yeah, and that's the 20-year scenario of guerrilla warfare leading up to Civil War.
Well,
and then World War III.
I mean that. I guess there's the guerrilla scenario is I mean there's basically three scenarios: either World War III and like we really destroy the planet, but
that's with
like
nuclear war.
That option is not going to happen by universal law. So that leaves two other options: either using an EMP to avoid World War III from happening, or there's a small probability of kind of like avoiding it and just ending up in a guerrilla and procrastination that's like will completely block our revolution.
So
kind of a 20-year energetic deadlock.
So an EMP, I don't know too much about an EMP, but is that basically a neutron bomb that doesn't have a lot of radiological elements to it? There wouldn't be a lot of radiological fallout.
It doesn't have. It wouldn't have any radioactivity. It won't affect physical life. Like it won't affect biological life in an adverse way. All it does is grill electronics.
So would that mean? I guess that everybody's cell phone, would everybody's computer be destroyed?
Yeah, computers, communications, cars, transports, water sanitation, everything. Military installations. And right now, just in the past couple of days, there's people coming out with like we're in the middle of the Second American Revolution, and now they're coming out publicly with it, so that it's going to fall somewhere within that context. I don't know exactly how events are going to unfold because it's so chaotic, but with the Second American Revolution and an EMP, like it would ensure that the like nuclear warheads wouldn't start getting launched.
Mm. So do you think one of the reasons why they're going to why they may do this EMP is to stop or maybe to even help the super soldiers go offline so they could become activated without all the technology and mind control grid?
Oh.
No, that one.
No, it has something to do with that, and really like the Russians don't want to do that. They don't want to get to that situation. They just want to be left in peace to develop their nations. But the cabal is throwing all of their media propaganda against them and surrounding them and really like pushing them until they have no other option, and they're going to push them until the edge. And even like the population doesn't even know who's good, who's bad anymore. Now, like most of the population believes the media propaganda that the Russians are bad, the cabal is good ones, the corrupt power structures to remain in power. So the population is putting all of their collective creating force in that direction, and that's what needs to be broken. The collective creative power of the population that is being misused.
Yeah, so I asked you, why do the Russians need an EMP? Why not just release free energy technologies and make the U.S. obsolete? Or the Cabal, that is. And you said Metatron answered this question. Metatron said, the main challenge we face is to integrate a new way of life, not the Cabal, but not with the Cabal, but the population supporting them. Destroying the Cabal is easy. Getting them to surrender is harder. Getting the population to take over is where the real challenge lies. 90% of the population's creative energies still goes towards maintaining the old ways of life and the corrupt structures in place. A major catalyst will be required to break the old ways of life and pave the way to a new world. There's no other way. The EMP isn't for the Cabal. It is to wake up the population and to force change upon them. As for advanced technologies, we will not provide anything. I guess you're referring to the avians or Metatron.
Or any of the more advanced groups.
Well, okay. Several individuals already have free energy technologies. It is up to the individuals of Earth to get themselves together to bring these technologies out. The support they will receive will be purely of spiritual nature to help them navigate through the challenges.
So basically the message is there's no savior coming, and you are responsible for creating reality and creating a new world. It's up to each one of us to take that responsibility. We are the saviors that we've been waiting for. We need to take on that role.
Yeah, I agree. Do you have any other final messages you would like to share at this time?
I'm feeling a bunch of metaphysical beings that are fighting to say things. So it does seem there are a couple of messages.
One at a time, please.
Okay. Okay, so Metatron says that there's a lot of doubt and hesitation as to whether what I'm saying is true or whether it's utter rubbish. Just look at what's happening in the world. Look at what's true within you. And don't pay attention to what anyone else is thinking. You need to figure out what's true for yourself. Then Ra of the Deviants also has something to say. He has, it seems he has 3 different messages. So he says, first message is, they have always been here to watch over the planet. They have done their best to protect us from control or annihilation. And yes, we've gone through dark times. Things would have been a hell of a lot worse had they not been playing a constant role into this. And the second message is for the people of Orion. He says that most of the Orion souls that are incarnate in the physical plane still have no idea who they are, but they are getting flashbacks and memories coming to them. Some are listening to these memories, others are not. And the memories and powers will continue growing within them on a continual basis. And it is very important for these Orion individuals to take a role of leadership to create a new civilization on the ashes of the old world, just like the phoenix rises out of chaos. They are beacons of light. Many of them are already playing a role of leadership. They just don't know who they are yet. He says, Curry Good is from Orion. David Wilcock is from Orion. Vladimir Putin is from Orion. Tesla was from Orion. Einstein was from Orion. All of the most conscious leaders throughout history were from Orion. Felt a connection with it, but didn't know what it was about. Now it is time for the people of Orion to come back, and for a new reality to assert itself. The transition will not be easy. But over the next 100-year cycle, we will go through an evolution that normally would take millions of years for other civilizations. There's going to be a lot happening because we're going through a very sharp learning curve. And what you think is real, no matter how real you think it is not the real truth. You must dig deeper to know the truth about yourself and the truth about the world, where you come from and where you're going, and find your place in the greater picture. This is Ra of the Deviants Federation. Also has another message from someone else of the council. He says there are a lot of troubling times coming ahead. And to not lose faith, to understand the greater purpose behind it all, to know the higher truth within yourself, to not be afraid, to keep faith, and to surrender to God, and to do what you need to do, whatever that is. For those who haven't prepared themselves yet, events can unfold very quickly without warning. You've had plenty of warnings. All of the cards have been played. Now we're waiting for the deck to shuffle. And go through it one step at a time. But know that whatever you go through will happen for either one of two reasons only. Either it is because that's what you are creating, either individually or collectively, or because it is something that you must go through in order to achieve your greater purpose on the grander scheme. And these are the only two reasons why you will go through any experience. Either way, taking responsibility for the experience will put you in power and make it a lot easier to go through. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, thank you, Etienne. I really appreciate that.
So there's one last message from Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael says, just as I've been saying earlier, many people channel from him, but only 5 to 15% of what he's saying, because they only want to listen to what they want to hear based on their current beliefs and value system. And the current spiritual leadership is only 40 to 42% aligned with God, because they want to hold onto a reality that no longer needs to be, instead of accepting the changes that must happen. So we're at a point where the spiritual leadership must surrender into full alignment with God. And by doing so, will be provided support and protection from God. That's all.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And listeners, I'm sure you got something from that today that I know you're not going to hear from any other source, really. I mean, no, I don't think anyone else is talking about not only a beautiful spiritual message that you shared, but also one that brings hope. And that's what I think a lot of people are looking for nowadays, is hope, because we've been beaten up by the cabal so much. It is time for us to step into our abilities and be set free, because we deserve it, and we need to believe it and allow it to happen. So yeah. Do you have a website you would like to share for where people can contact you for sessions or learn more about what you do?
With my work, the first step is to go through the Force of Life training, where I explain more of the basics of the work I do to harness the force of life for healing and creation. And the website for that is forceoflife.net. And then the second step is an energy tune-up, where I do a reading of their energy field, tell them where they are aligned, where they're not aligned. And there's also a book that I wrote that is that explains the ascension process that we're going through. That I send it as well. So I do a reading, I do some healing on their energy to clear out like all the junk that's leaking out of their energy, or that's like the main control structures, and then clear that out, do the healing, and they get the book as well. And then there's the book, The History of the Universe in the Second Part of End Times.
Yeah, The History of the Universe, found at Amazon.com. Go check that out as well. Also, be sure to visit supersoldiertalk.com, where you can get the latest update, not only about this EMP pulse and whatever else, I guess the super soldier armies or this and that, and Skynet, sorry.
One more thing I want to mention. Like now, I wrote many things in the past, have a lot of information on my blog. My blog is at spiritualselftransformation.com. But it's the first book that I'm really publishing. And there's going to be like a whole series of books that will follow, where I will take in books from libraries in other worlds and transferring the content of the books telepathically through channeling and I will publish the information in that way. So transferring knowledge, higher knowledge from other worlds to aid us in our period of ascension. That's where I'm going with the publishing company that I'm starting here.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing. Would love to hear more about that when that becomes available. And I'm sure we're going to bring you back on here in the future, because I know you have a lot of interesting perspectives to bring to the plate.
And there's probably going to be a lot happening after this interview gets released and after people start reading the book. And also the book, if you measure on the Hawkins scale, I'm now what I'm doing these days, measuring the accuracy level and vibration level of different books. The Bible, King James Version, New Testament vibrates at 1050. The New Testament vibrates at about 4030. This book, The History of the Universe, calibrates at 94.8 million. And there's many activations in the book and also energetic defense grids to protect the energy of the book.
Amazing, yeah. You definitely want to check that out when it becomes available, which I'm sure it will as soon as this is published.
And you want to make sure to have the physical version, because the physical version, it's basically a technological device with energetic defense grids that will, it will help stabilize your environment. Just having the printed book, it really has a high energy glow that the electronic version won't have.
Okay, and also be sure to subscribe to supersoldiertalk.com, where you can get the latest updates, and this channel as well. Subscribe to the videos here. And also be sure to visit neologicaltech.com to support the work that I do, so that I can continue to make these videos, because it does take a lot of time to do all this work. But I think the effort and it's certainly worth it to get the knowledge out there, to educate people, and to bring people together so that we can make a difference. And that's what I guess this is all about, is to bring about change. So once again, thank you, Etienne, and thank you, listeners, for listening in. And until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.
Please consider supporting Super Soldier Talk by purchasing your own Neo Meditation device. Your Neo Meditation device will help you reduce stress, integrate trauma, enhance intuition, enhance clairvoyance, and enhance creativity. Get yours now at www.neologicaltech.com.